A cold wind moved across the edge of space. Stars flickered in the darkness like quiet watchers. Somewhere far from any known world, a Zeller listening post floated alone. Its job was simple: watch, listen, report. Nothing had happened there. In 50 years, the crew was bored.
Yes.
Some even hoped for pirates just to feel alive again. Then the signal came. It was weak, it's broken, full of static. But it was not Zeller. It was not from any species they knew. It was something.
Out.
Commander Therex, an old warfighter with silver skin and sharp eyes, listened closely. The signal repeated every 30 seconds. Not a word, not a message. Just a strange humming sound, like a machine breathing. "Where is it coming from?" he asked. Lieutenant Krell tapped on glowing screens. "Unknown, Commander. It moves fast." "How fast?" "Faster than light. That should not be possible." The crew grew silent. The commander stood. "Send a scout." The scout ship Zeller's Claw launched within minutes. It carried 5 of their best pilots. Fast, small, and armed with new tech, it should have returned in hours. It never came back. First, they lost voice contact and the tracking signal. Then the ship itself vanished from the stars. What remained was one word, whispered through the static like a ghost: "Run." The crew stared at the speaker, frozen. "Is this a trick?" Krell asked. "No," Therex said. That voice was real. They sent the report to High Command. In return, they got orders: do not engage, observe only. But the War Council didn't believe the threat was real. They had crushed hundreds of worlds. It burned planets, broken armies. No species had stood against them. Not in 1,000 years, one ship could not stop them. Therex wasn't so sure. The next day, a shape appeared on their sensors, far away, just at the edge of their view. It didn't match any known ship. It was long, black, sharp, like a blade held in the stars. It didn't move. No light came from it. No signals. What? ... waited. Therex watched the ship for hours. "Send a greeting signal," he said. No answer. "Try again. Use all frequencies." Still no answer. Krell looked uneasy. "Maybe it doesn't understand us." "It understood the scout," Therex said. "It said run." The crew grew more afraid as the hours passed. They couldn't scan the ship's weapons. It didn't seem to have any engines. It floated like a dead thing, yet their sensors told them it was alive. The ship pulsed slowly, like it had a heartbeat. "I don't." "Like this," one crew member whispered. "It's like it's watching us." Commander Krell said suddenly, "I found something. Old records. From the Archery archives. Species 324. Long dead." They spoke of a being that came from the dark. One ship, black, silent. It destroyed their entire defense fleet in seconds. "What species did it belong to?" Therex asked. Krell looked up, face pale. He called them humans. Silence filled the room. Therex spoke softly. "I thought humans were a myth." "Ghost. Stories many did," Krell said. "But they were real. Long ago." Then they disappeared. The ship outside didn't move. But the crew could feel it. It was like the ship was waiting for something. One of the young crew members asked, "Commander, what do we do?" Therex didn't answer right away. He stared at the silent ship, his fingers tight around the edge of his chair. He finally spoke. "We do what we were told. We observe. We do not fight." But deep inside, he felt something dark and cold. He had seen many battles. He had led ships through fire and blood. But this was different. This was something older than war. That night, while most of the crew slept, Therex sat alone in the command room. He stared at the stars, at the dark ship that never moved. A whisper came through the signal again. This time it was different. It said, "You have crossed the line." Therex stood up slowly. His blood ran cold. The humans were not dead. They were waiting. And now they were awake. Jiao High Command received the report from Commander Therex. Most of the leaders laughed. A single unknown ship? A few scary words? It didn't scare them. They had ruled this part of space for over 1,000 years. They crushed any species that said no. They were strong, were proud, but not all of them were laughing. High Chancellor Verwin, leader of the War Council, watched the report again. In silence, he saw the dark shape of the strange ship. It looked like nothing he had seen before. It did not glow. It did not speak. But it felt dangerous. Even in silence, it had presence. He turned to his science officer. "Find out what this word means, humans." The science officer, a quiet alien named Selen, nodded and left the room. Deep in the lower vaults of the war archives, Selen searched the ancient files. These were records from long-dead species. Many of these species had been destroyed by the Zeller themselves, but some of the oldest records were not from wars, they were from warnings. Selen found the name again and again, humans, in the records of the Athilans. It was written, "They burn like suns. Their wrath is not loud. It is cold, sharp, and fast." From the ruined temples of the Draenari, one last recording. A single ship came. Our gods fell. They did not speak. They only ended, on a broken data crystal from the Tar Confederation. "We begged for peace," they said. Peace was offered. Chose war. Then everything stopped. Selen felt his stomach turn. These weren't myths. These were battle logs. He returned to Chancellor Varun. "I found them," he said. "The humans were real." Verwan raised an eyebrow. "And they were not many. But they were fast, smart, and cruel, if pushed." Varun scoffed. "Cruel to us? We've ended empires, did they? Without fleets. Without armies. Sometimes with only one ship." Varun didn't respond. Later that day, the silent human warship moved for the first time. Only slightly. Not toward the Zeller listening post. Just a small rotation, like it was waking. Up there sent another report. VARUN. Read it carefully. Then he made a choice. "Send a diplomatic message," he ordered. "Let's speak with them." A message was sent, which translated into over 30 languages. It said, "We are the Zeller Dominion. You are in our space. Identify yourselves." Passed. Then a voice answered. It was not alien, not mechanical. It was human. The voice was calm, cold, like a blade. "You are wrong. This is our space now. Leave." The communication ended. Panic spread quickly in high command. "Is it a bluff?" one general asked. "A trick to scare us?" "Maybe," another said, "but what if it's not?" Varun frowned. "They sent only one ship. If they had more, we would see them." But Selen disagreed. "Maybe we don't see them because they don't want us to." Varun had heard enough. "They challenged us. Send a small fleet. 10 ships. No heavy weapons. Just a warning." Hours later, 10 ships reached the location of the unknown vessel. They surrounded it. The human ship didn't move. Zeller. Ships locked weapons. They charged. Their cannons. All systems were ready. Still, the human ship didn't move. One Zeller captain named Yaren opened a communication line and said, "This is your last chance. Submit or we will fire." No reply. Yaren gave the order. Fire. They expected bright lights, explosions, screams, but nothing happened. No shots landed. No blasts touched the ship. Instead, each Zeller ship's screen flickered and went black for 1 second. When the screens came back, all 10 ships were gone, not destroyed. Gone. Only one ship remained. Yaren's, and a message appeared on his screen, glowing red. "This is the UN's Oblivion. You attacked first. You will not get a second chance." Yaren screamed for help, but there was no answer. He was alone. Back at high command, Verwin stared at the report with wide eyes. 10 ships. Gone. Selen nodded. Not destroyed. Not. Even debris, they were erased. Verwin stood in silence. Then he looked around the room. Send this message to every commander, he said. From now on, the word human means one thing: do not engage. But it was already too late. The humans had returned, and this time they were not hiding. The galaxy held its breath. After 10 Zeller warships vanished without sound, fear spread like wildfire. No alarms, no battles, no wreckage, just silence. Silence, and one message: this is the UN's oblivion. You attacked first. You will not get a second chance. The High Command tried to stay calm. But whispers of the humans were spreading. Soldiers began to ask questions. Officers refused patrol orders near the human ship. Some ships even turned off their tracking beacons, hoping to disappear. Chancellor Varun locked himself in the war chamber with only a few trusted aides. We need to understand this ship, he said. Where did it come from? How can it do this? Selen, the science officer, looked tired. Every law of physics we know, this ship breaks them. Explain. Our scans show no engines, no energy output, no heat. Yet it moves. It sees. It acts faster than anything we've ever recorded. Sir, it might not be a ship. What? Do you mean? Varun asked. I mean, Selen said slowly, it could be something more. A weapon, a warning, a god. We don't know. Varun didn't like that answer. He called a secret meeting with the Dominion's top generals. We will not let one ship control us, he said. Fear is not our way. We have destroyed entire civilizations. We can destroy this. Human myth. Plan was made. A new fleet would be sent, 20 warships, armed with the most advanced weapons the Dominion had ever built. They would not speak. They would not ask questions. They would attack first and end the threat. Across space, the UN's oblivion still floated silently. It hadn't moved in days. It hadn't sent a single signal, but it knew they were coming. On board, deep inside the dark vessel, a single human officer stood at the center of a control room. His name was Captain Elias Rain. His face was calm, emotionless. The screen before him lit up with new data. Zeller fleet incoming. 20 ships. Full combat load. He tapped a button. The ship awoke. Lights glowed softly across the black walls. Strange shapes moved through the floor like liquid metal. The engines hummed without heat. The ship was alive, but it didn't run. It waited. The Zeller fleet came fast, bold, and angry. As they approached, Captain Yaren, the only survivor from the first attack, sent one final message to warn them. Turn back. You don't understand. It doesn't fight the way we do. You won't even get close. The fleet ignored him. They surrounded the Oblivion again. This time, they had learned. They spread out, stayed far apart. Fired from a distance, the order was given. Lasers, missiles, plasma. Beams all fired at once, and then nothing. Every shot vanished before it reached the ship. Not blocked, not dodged. Simply gone. Like reality itself rejected the attack. On the command bridge of one Zeller destroyer, a captain shouted, "Increase fire. Overload everything." But his ship began to shake. "We're not moving," an officer cried. "But the stars, they're shifting." It was true. The stars around them were bending, warping like water. Time and space themselves were twisting then. Came the voice. Not from speakers, not from radios, but from inside their minds. "You have crossed the line. You were warned." Every Zeller in the fleet froze. Some screamed. Some cried. One even began laughing before collapsing. On the human ship, Captain Rain spoke softly. "Engage gravity nets." The Oblivion didn't fire a single weapon. It just pulsed. A wave of invisible force spread out like a ripple on a pond. Every Zeller ship froze in space, engines offline, shields dead, weapons useless. The crew inside felt like they were falling. There was no gravity. They were not dying. They were being shown. Images filled their minds. They saw Earth, its cities, its sky, its history. They saw human wars, human peace, human death, And they saw something else. Human patience. "We do not seek war," the voice said. "But we will end it when it comes." The ships were released. Power came back. Engines restarted. No one gave the order to fire. Again, they just ran. All of them back at high command. Verwin watched the footage in silence. "No weapons?" he asked. "No shields?" "Nothing," Selen replied. "They didn't destroy us. They let us go." "Why?" "I think they wanted us to understand that if they wanted to end us, they already would have." Verwin looked up. "And if we push again?" Selen didn't speak. He didn't need to, because now everyone knew. The humans had returned, and they were not here to talk. Far from the front lines, deep inside the Zeller research facility on the moon of Karthik, a group of scientists stood around a melted piece of metal. It was all that remained of the first scout ship that vanished near the human warship. Dr. Ilvan, the lead engineer, looked at the melted wreckage with disbelief. This should not exist," he whispered. The metal had been twisted from the inside, as if time itself had been folded. No explosion, no burn marks, just pure, silent destruction. Another scientist, Renner, looked over the scan report. No energy blasts, no plasma, not even gravity distortion. "Then what did this?" Dr. Ilvan asked. Renner shook his head. "Something we don't understand." Back at high command, Chancellor Verwin read the full report. "So they don't." "Fire weapons," he muttered. "They rewrite matter." Selen nodded. "Or reality itself. We don't know the difference anymore." The council argued all night. Some wanted to try diplomacy again. Others wanted to build bigger weapons. But Varun made his decision. "We are the Zeller Dominion," he said firmly. "We will not bow to one ship. Build the trap." The trap was called Project IronNet. A fleet of 30 ships would form a perfect sphere around the human warship. Special gravity hooks and void mines would lock it in space. The net would block even time distortion, or so they hoped. They sent out the ships under full silence. No radio, no light. It's just dark engines and quiet fear. But the Oblivion, it's already new. It did not move. It did not run. It waited. Captain Rain sat alone in his chair. The stars spun slowly on his screen. His ship was quiet, peaceful, like a sleeping predator. 30 ships incoming, the ship's AI whispered. Forming a net. No escape planned. Escape was never the plan, Rain said. The trap was set. 30 ships. Gravity hooks in place. Mines activated. The human ship was now caught, surrounded completely. The Zeller Admiral. A brutal tactician named Thrax smiled for the first time in days. Target locked. Begin compression. All 30 ships activated the gravity field. Space began to bend, but the Oblivion didn't shake, didn't even blink. Then something strange happened. Every ship in the fleet heard a soft beep. A countdown 00:59. Where's that coming from? Shouted a Zeller officer. Not from us. It's inside the system. 00:48. Admiral Thrax screamed. Shut it down, break the net. Nothing responded. All screens showed the same numbers. 00:38. Some. Crew members began to panic. One ship tried to fly away. It turned and fired its engines and vanished. No explosion, just silence. 00:26. The Admiral slammed his fists on the control panel. What is this? Then came the message. Across all screens, all frequencies, all languages. It chose this. Lingdan Shirfin. Lights flickered. Some crew began to cry. 00:05. Captain Rain stood up slowly. He didn't smile, didn't blink. 00:01. Everything stopped. No explosion. It's just stillness. All 30 Zeller ships were gone. Wiped from the stars. Only the Oblivion remained. Back at high command, Xelen looked at the data feed. There's nothing, he whispered. No signals. No debris. Not even time distortion. We're just removed. Varun couldn't speak. How is that possible? One general cried, "How can a single ship do this?" Selen looked down, "'Cause it's not just a ship." "What is it then?" Varun asked. Selen said slowly, "It's a message, a lesson, a punishment." They all stood in silence. The humans didn't come to destroy them. They came to teach them what fear really was. And now, they had the Zeller's full attention. The Zeller Dominion had never known defeat. Never. Not like this. 30 ships lost. No survivors, no wreckage, no sounds. Just gone. The High Council no longer spoke with pride. They sat in silence, eyes down. Even Chancellor Varun looked older. His voice no longer sharp. "Are we at war?" the counselor asked. Selen, the science officer, answered softly. "We were, the moment we fired the first shot." Varun shook his head. "Then where is the war? Why aren't they invading, destroying?" Selen stared at the stars outside the window. "Because," he said, "they don't need to invade. They just need us to understand." Far from the capital, on the edge of Zeller space, a small observation ship floated quietly. It was sent with one mission: to watch the human warship and report back. Nothing else. No weapons. No contact. Inside the ship, young ensign Kel watched his screens nervously. His fingers shook as he adjusted the scanners. The Oblivion hadn't moved for days. It just floated, but it wasn't empty. Kel could feel it. He whispered to himself, "It's not a ship. It's a warning." Suddenly, the ship's sensors picked up movement. The Oblivion had changed position just slightly. Then again, and again. Ensign Kel leaned forward. "It's drawing something." Ooh, the pattern on the screen became clear. It was a circle. No, a symbol. The same symbol now burned into every ship system in the Dominion. One line, one star, and one word: Earth. Then came a new signal. Not a message, not a voice. A countdown. 0:59. Kel gasped and jumped back. He hit the emergency button. The Dominion received the warning seconds later. Another countdown. Another event. But this time, something was different. The Oblivion didn't vanish. It moved straight into the heart of Zeller's space. Not fast, not hidden. Just direct, cold, unstoppable. Varun shouted, "How's it doing this? No ship can move through folded space. Like this." Not without Selen, interrupted, eyes wide. "It's not using a wormhole. It's not warping space." "Then what? But it's folding us." Across the galaxy, sensors blinked off. Navigation systems failed. Star maps twisted. Fleets vanished from radar. The Dominion wasn't losing ships, it was losing space itself. The Oblivion appeared in the middle of Fleet Station, Theta, one of the strongest military stations the Dominion had ever built. Thousands of weapons turned to target it, and yet none fired. Because every targeting system went dark the moment the ship arrived. Captain Rain appeared on every screen, standing calmly, hands behind his back. "You called this war," we answered. "Now, listen. No one could look away," he continued. "You rule through fear, through fire, through strength. So did we once. But then we learned. True strength does not scream. It whispers. It waits." The camera shifted. Behind Rain was not Earth, but something else. A long line of silent, dark warships, each one larger than the Oblivion. Each one waiting. The message ended. Back on Fleet Station Theta, officers panicked. Some tried to flee. Others begged for mercy over open comms. The Oblivion didn't respond. Instead, it opened a hatch, just one. No weapon fired. No beam of light. Only energy. A pulse, soft at first. Like a breath, then stronger, then louder. Fleet Station. Theta began to tremble. Its metal walls bent. Its engines screamed. And then, nothing. The entire station disappeared. From space, from time, from memory. Only silence remained. The Oblivion stood still, unmoved, unharmed. Watching, Captain. Rain gave no orders. He didn't need to. The message had been sent. One ship was enough. Back. On the homeworld, Varun fell into his chair. They didn't destroy us. They erased us. With precision. Selen nodded, because we weren't their enemies. We were a lesson. Varun looked at the stars. All the power, all the fleets, all the weapons. Useless and still. The humans didn't invade. They didn't conquer. They just watched, waiting as they were asking one silent question. Do you finally understand? The war was over, but there had been no battle, no fire, no screams, no blood, just silence. Fleet Station Theta was gone. Not destroyed, not broken, just removed from the galaxy, as if it had never existed. The only survivor was a broken scout pod drifting alone. It carried one Zeller officer. His eyes were wide, his voice trembling as he repeated the same sentence over and over. They showed me the end. They showed me what comes next. He was taken to a medical lab. Scientists tried to scan his mind. But something was wrong. Parts of his memory were missing. Others were changed. He spoke of stars collapsing into themselves, of giant ships hanging between moments in time, of Earth, but not the Earth from stories. An Earth wrapped in machines, protected by light, surrounded by darkness that listened, and in every vision, it was the same ship, the UN's Oblivion at high command. Chancellor Varun stared at the last message left by the human ship. No voice. This time, just text, "This is not a war. This is mercy. Mercy." That word echoed through every level of the Zeller government, across the Dominion. Systems began to shut down their military bases. Commanders refused to send ships near human. Space colonies locked their doors and stopped speaking. For the first time in history, the Zeller Empire stopped expanding. They were afraid, not of pain, but of disappearing. VRUN met with Selen in private. Why didn't they destroy us? Baron asked. Selen answered slowly. Because they don't. Want to rule us? They want to warn us. Warn us of what? Selen looked up, and for the first time his voice cracked. Of what they'll become. If we don't listen, Varun didn't sleep that night. He saw images in his dreams. A planet turning to dust. Time collapsing like a broken machine. A ship Oblivion floating in the center of a dead galaxy. And a voice whispering. This was your future until we changed it. The next day an order was given. No ship shall approach human space. Ever again, the command was clear. But not everyone listened. A rogue group of young Zeller officers believed the Dominion had become weak. They called themselves the Unbroken. They gathered 3 warships and made a plan. If we kill the human ship, one of them said, we prove they bleed. We prove we are still powerful. They launched at night, without orders. In full silence. But the Oblivion was already waiting, as their ships approached the border of the Sol system. Something strange happened. All stars went dark. Not one by one. All at once. The space around them became black to black, not natural darkness. Total silence. Then the clocks on their ships stopped. All of them. Not frozen. Gone. One pilot screamed. I can't hear my own heartbeat. Another cried. Are we alive? Then a voice came not through systems, but directly into their minds. You were warned. And with that, their ships were returned to their original stations in perfect condition, but their crews had changed, eyes wide, silent, not speaking again. Ever doctors called it zero fear syndrome, a condition where a person's fear is so complete, their mind stops reacting. The Unbroken were now broken. Across the galaxy, stories spread. The humans don't kill. They don't burn cities. They show you what comes after, and let you walk back, if you survive. The Oblivion appeared one last time outside, a small science outpost orbiting a dead planet. It did not speak, did not fire. It simply left something behind. A cube inside was a message in hundreds of languages. We were like you once. Angry, proud, blind. Oh, we thought war made us strong. We thought peace made us weak. We were wrong. We do not seek enemies. But if war comes again, the stars will forget your name. And then the oblivion vanished, not into light, not into space. It simply folded into nothing. Gone. No trace. No signal, only memory. Back on the Zeller homeworld, Farrowin stood before the War Council one final time. "We are no longer hunters," he said. "We were prey, and we were spared." He looked out at the stars, at the space they had once claimed, now quiet, now cold, now watched. And for the first time in 1,000 years, the Zeller Dominion stepped back, not because they lost, but because they understood. Somewhere out there, Earth still turned a small blue planet, untouched, unshaken, but surrounded by silence, and the whisper of a warning that echoed across the galaxy. This is mercy. The stars near Earth were quiet, too quiet. Not a single Zeller ship had dared to cross into human space for months. Their charts now marked Earth with only one symbol, a red X. No one spoke its name. No one plotted a course near it. Even smugglers stayed away. It was as if the whole galaxy agreed, do not disturb the humans, but one ship still dared, the ZDN Apex. The strongest dreadnought ever built by the Zeller Dominion moved slowly through space, carried the last hope or the last mistake. Admiral Korvik stood on the bridge. His silver skin glowed under the lights, his eyes cold. "I don't believe in ghosts," he said. "I believe in strength." Behind him, his crew stayed silent. Most of them had heard the stories. They had seen the recordings. They had lost family and friends to the human ship called Oblivion. But the Apex was different. Stronger, smarter, bigger. They believed it could win. Sensors picked up Earth long before they saw it. A small blue planet, quiet, normal, too normal. No ships nearby, an officer reported. The weapons detected. It's empty. Korvik frowned. No planet is ever empty. He ordered a deep scan. The results came back broken. Signals overlapped. Images twisted. It was like scanning a dream. Korvik growled. "Land a probe." "I want eyes on the ground." Probe launched. It entered Earth's atmosphere without a problem. It landed in a forest. Wind moved the trees. Birds flew across the sky. It was beautiful, peaceful, alive, too alive. The probe sent back video. People walked calmly. Children laughed. There were no weapons. No military. No sign of war. It didn't make sense. Korvik leaned forward. "Is this a trick?" Then something strange happened. The probe's camera turned by itself, toward the sky, toward something that wasn't there a moment ago. A shape appeared above Earth, a black triangle, sharp, silent, huge, the Oblivion. It hovered without sound, without light. But every sensor aboard the Apex screamed, "Admiral!" A crew member shouted. "It's above us." "How?" Korvik shouted. "We would have seen it coming." Another voice cried out, "No engine trail, no heat. It just appeared." Then every screen aboard the Apex went dark. A single word appeared in glowing white text. "Enough." Stars outside the window began to dim. Not fade. Dim, as if something was covering them, one by one. The stars disappeared, and something massive appeared behind them. Not a ship, not a planet. A wall. It stretched across the galaxy. Black, silent, endless. A voice filled their minds. "We told you. We warned you. We showed mercy." "Came anyway." Korvik stepped back, shaken. "This is Earth's defense," he whispered. "It's not a shield. It's a shadow." The voice continued. "Earth is not a weapon. We are, and we are not alone." More ships appeared behind the Oblivion. 10, 50, hundreds, all silent, all waiting not to attack, but to decide. Korvik fell to his knees. He saw it now. They had never stood a chance. Earth was never weak. It was quiet because it knew. because it remembered, and because it warned. But now, the warning was over. A message appeared on every screen in the Zeller Dominion. Your story ends here, if you choose. And then, ... silence, back on the apex. The ship's engines shut down, the weapons powered off. The dreadnought simply stopped, like it accepted its fate. Korvik closed his eyes. He expected fire, pain and end. But instead, ... the voice returned. Softer now. You may leave and never return. The apex vanished. Instantly, it was teleported, not destroyed, back to the edge of Zeller, space unharmed, but with one final image burned into its systems, a still shot of Earth, with one word beneath it: remember. From that day forward, no ship approached Earth again, not because they feared war, but because they understood what waited in the silence. Not a planet, not a fleet, but a promise. The battle ended before it began, and humanity never had to. Fire again, because the stars remembered, because the galaxy knew, and because one ship was enough.